thank you for joining us for the 2021 MCOE Kickoff. We will start the program in about 5 minutes. So if you could please take your seat, silence your cell phone or mobile device if you are with us in the audience today. And for those of you joining us virtually, I believe we're live streaming. Are we live streaming yet? Sorry, you figure after a year and a half we'd have everything dialed in, but it's still a challenge some days. I'm looking back here. Okay. Well, if you're joining us on the live stream, hang tight and we'll begin the program soon. much smaller group than normal, but glad that you're all here nonetheless. I'm Nathan Cavedo, Media and Communications Manager here at MCOE, and I'd like to welcome you to the annual MCOE Kickoff. This year we have both an in-person event, here you are, and a virtual audience. The virtual audience, hello. So please bear with us if there are some brief pauses during the programming. We're just trying to align everything so that the folks that are not here with us have the same experience. And this past year and a half has been unique and tough on many of us, and I'll say first of all, especially for the extroverts. How many of extroverts do we have here? Yeah, you guys feel my pain. So I'm glad we're having an in-person event, even with limited capacity, because it's important that we recognize our employees' educational attainment and years of service. I also want to let you know that we have taken additional health precautions here. People were required to wear masks when they entered the building, along with some social distancing and other hygienic measures for the in-person event. Your safety and well-being is of the highest importance to us. We have a packed schedule of employee recognition, our keynote presenters, and they'll focus on social, emotional well-being and trauma-informed learning. First, though, a few housekeeping items. Please make sure your mobile devices are on silent. There are men's and women's restrooms located in the lobby area. And again, we will recognize employees from both 2020 and 2021, but 2020 will be before the intermission, 2020 right afterward. I'll make sure to let everyone know when it's time to line up over to the side of the theater. All right, so at this time, can you please stand for the presentation of the colors by the United States Marine Corps and continue standing for the national anthem? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the
Okay, thank you to Staff Sergeant McQueen and Staff Sergeant Singvansa, I hope I got that right, with the United States Marine Corps. And thank you to our own Merced Scholars Charter School employee, Canella Fulbright McCoubry. I hope I pronounced that right as well. Let's give them another round of applause. Great job. Okay, so enough of me for a little bit here. I'm going to invite up to the stage Merced County Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Steve Tejan.
Thank you, Nathan, and thank you, Canella, very much again for that wonderful rendition of our national anthem. 2019, 2020, 2021. It's been a challenge, huh? Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to those of you joining us in person and virtually for the annual MCOE Kickoff here at the beautiful Merced Theater. While I do wish we could have all of our staff here at a more traditional kind of kickoff event, the health crisis lingers, and we're still limiting our capacity at events and asking you all, of course, to take precautions when we do join together. I also want to thank, first of all, staff and communications for once again making this morning possible. It takes a lot of behind-the-scenes work and coordination and technology knowledge to make this theater work with a system that's going out to workstations across our county so that we can all be together in spirit today. So thank you for that hard work. And thank you to all of the staff across our departments that made this past year survivable for the children and families in Merced County. Thank you so much. So we have to acknowledge a little bit of uncertainty in the future. We are not sure where this is heading. As Dr. Rebecca Nananjo-Kemp says, we are done with COVID. Unfortunately, it's not done with us. And so we have to still be vigilant about our own health practices and behaviors. We need to be aware that there'll be more changing working conditions. I'm sure that we're going to hear from Sacramento again about things like masks. We know that currently our Cal OSHA regulations allow us to unmask in our offices if we're vaccinated. We're asking those that are unvaccinated to continue to wear their mask because that's a Cal OSHA requirement. And of course, it's not just a good health practice, it's also a liability issue. And so that's kind of what drives these decisions that we have to make, that we have to be in compliance with our state government and with our insurance companies to be able to continue to operate in an efficient manner. So thank you for your patience as we deal with those issues. I know it's been difficult. I've been pulling my hair out. If you notice right in the back of my head, I'm losing more hair. It's because I pull my hair there because most people can't see it from the front, right? Because, you know, we spend so much time on Zoom. Educators have seen how difficult distance learning was for many students. And we know that the best place for students to thrive and succeed is in the classroom. And this year's theme about reconnecting back here at the office and across our organization was driven by this realization that we all need the human touch, that we need the human interaction, the face-to-face interaction that really makes us human. And so we asked our own leaders in these areas, Dr. Mitch Casados and Dr. Ozzie DeLuna, to do the keynotes this morning rather than bring someone out from back to Merced from the outside. We've got great expertise in the office, and I really want to thank Dr. Ozzie and Dr. Mitch for taking the time to prepare a message for you this morning about reconnecting. So we've got a lot of things going on. Work continues to happen. You're all aware this past year of some of the big events that have happened at the county office. We began this year with a newsletter, a video newsletter every week. And I've had some feedback from some of you. You enjoy the humor when I'm able to inject a little humor. And we'll be doing that again, restarting our video newsletters. It's not going to be weekly because we anticipate the changes won't be quite as sudden because we've been through this routine now. So you'll see a video newsletter once every 2 weeks. I have family members that say, we don't know how you do this, except that we know how much you like to look in the mirror, Dad. I'm sorry, I gave that away, didn't I? And that being on Zoom is just like, crack to an addict. You get to sit there and stare at yourself. And really, I've tried to explain to them, look, I've been hoping that as I stare in the screen that maybe the hair on my ears will stop growing and it'll grow on my chin instead. That hasn't happened. But we'll continue to do those video newsletters because I think it's a good way for us to reach out. And if there are attempts for us to get out to sites and do those videos at the sites. I did that last fall, and then as the virus started to ramp up, I stopped doing it because I was told, Steve, you're not modeling the right behavior. You can't be going out to those sites and taking your germs around to the sites. You need to stay in your office. And so that's what I did, but hopefully this coming year I'll be able to go out and we'll have some cameos from some of you out at the school sites and the various MCOE offices around the county. There are a couple times when, during the early part of the pandemic, when I was at home and you saw cameos of my grandchildren enter the screen. Unfortunately, there's way too many bloopers on a blooper reel, and I'm afraid those are going to appear someday in a video up on the screen at one of these kickoffs. So yesterday, back to business, we hosted a press conference. Actually, it was Tuesday. We hosted a press conference for our Ready to Return campaign. And if you've been watching any of those videos or seen any of the press releases, you've heard perhaps that the state provided county offices funding to do an engagement campaign with the community to try to get across the point that coming back to school is safe. Coming back to school is what we need parents to allow their children to do, and that will also allow our economy to recover and get back to something closer to normal. And so we've been engaged in this Ready to Return campaign for the last couple of weeks. You'll see a lot of ads, we hope, in the next couple of weeks, encouraging parents across all social media platforms and TV and radio to bring their kids back, because really the modifications we're making with classrooms, wearing masks, all children, all teachers masking up when they're in the classroom, getting the vaccination if you're eligible, 12 years and older, these are key things, and the key things to do. And one of the things I'd like, I know this is political, it's become political unfortunately over the past year, but really what we need to remember is to go back to your medical doctor and talk to your pediatrician, talk to your medical practitioner, and talk to them about why you should consider getting a vaccine if you're not yet vaccinated. You may not believe it from me, you may not believe it from others that are elected, but please talk to your physician. I think that's the smartest thing you can do. So other mitigation measures we've taken at the county office, of course, reducing size of crowds like we did today, working through all of our HVAC systems, making sure that the filtration in those systems is at a high enough level, so that MERV level, so that the virus is filtered out as the air recirculates, adding ionizers in the plenum chambers that kill the virus if it gets through the filter, so that any air coming back into a classroom or an office space has been cleansed of the virus. That's happened across our system. This is work that Joe Schoeneman and his team have done, and the business office and Janet made that happen over the past year, so thank you to that staff that's worked so hard to make sure that we're safe. Air conditioning units, as you probably have heard, are going to be running before school and after school to make sure the air continues to get cleaned out, rather than having them shut down at the very last minute of the regular school day. So we're going to be doing other kinds of things like that to make sure that our systems are safe for our employees and our students. You know, the importance of schools in society has really been reinforced again over the past year, not just because of the custodial function that we perform with kids, meaning we take care of kids while their parents are at work. We do that, but we do a lot more than that. And society has begun to realize, once again, the importance of public education. I think so many times we take a beating in the press over things like test scores that we sometimes feel a little bit abused as a profession. And I'm so glad that one of the good things that have come out of this pandemic is a realization that you all work very hard to keep this society working effectively. You work so hard to make sure the next generation is prepared for a world of work that's going to be different than the world that they grow up in. And there's a deeper appreciation today of what educators do than there was 2 years ago. And I'm kind of sad that we had to go through a pandemic to get here, but I'm glad that society has begun to realize how important you are in making our society successful. We've also learned this past year that while technology is really wonderful and can do amazing things, and we've had to learn more about how to use it as the older generation, the baby boomer generation, and maybe even the X generation, we've had to learn how to use this technology that the kids have grown up with. It doesn't replace human interaction. It doesn't replace having a chance to have a conversation face-to-face with a neighbor, a work colleague, a friend. And so we need to make sure that even though there are some kids that have accelerated during the pandemic because they can thrive in an environment with a computer, there are lots of kids and there are lots of adults that didn't. And so we have to work extra hard now to reconnect them to the system that's going to create a support for them in the coming year. So those are some of the things that I've noticed this past year. We're going to have to kind of break through this impact of isolation. I know as things have opened up, I've witnessed folks meeting in the middle of the cul-de-sac, having an after-work drink and enjoying themselves. I've also witnessed people coming out really reluctant to join together with other people in groups because they're still so concerned about the impact the virus might have on them personally. And so we have to be sensitive to both ranges of emotions as we work with the public, as we greet our students as they come back to school, or we greet the parents as they come to our offices. This is what we're charged to do, to work with both sides of this spectrum of experiences. And I thank you for having the flexibility and capability of doing that in the next several weeks. Okay, enough serious stuff. Let's talk a little bit more about some other things that have happened this past year. So Camp Green Meadows is reopening. I'm excited to talk about that briefly. The nurses station that we've talked about for so many years as something that we are going to tear down and rebuild is actually being built now. The nurses station, the old one was torn down in May, and the new one is under construction now. And it's going to be a new experience for children when they go to Camp Green Meadows this coming year. The new nurses station not only has the nurses station, obviously, but it also has a handicapped accessible cabin for wheelchair-bound students and their caregivers so that we can host disabled students more effectively and easily at Camp Green Meadows in the future. I'm really excited about that. There's a significant investment in Camp Green Meadows, not only by our office, but by the community of Merced County in fundraising to be able to afford that facility. And so we're thrilled that that's under construction now and kids will be able to use it again soon. So before I wrap up, I'm looking at the clock and realizing I'm able to get us back on schedule even though we started a little late. I just want to say once again, the work that you do supports so many people in the Merced County community that you touch people that you don't know you're touching by working with their children, by working with parents that are struggling with a system, whether it's our system or a school district, by supporting the school districts, by making sure the technology in those districts work or that their bills are paid, but making sure that the preschool classrooms are cleaned and the preschool teachers have a place to be every day with all those delightful little kids. I thank you, because without your work, this community would not be able to function. And we saw the evidence of that over the past year and a half. So thank you again for all the hard work that you do. I'm looking forward to a great morning. I haven't seen any of the little pigs flash yet. I was told that the cabinet was going to wave them and trying to distract me while I talked, but they know better. I know where they're sitting. Oh, see there they go. We're gonna change up the recognition a little bit today. Rather than having people come up and stay on stage or shake hands, we're going to have you come up, receive your award for educational accomplishment or years of service, and then head back to your seat today, just because the handshaking thing is not yet a comfort zone for everybody. And of course, mask wearing in the theater when you're moving around was one of the requests that the theater folks made while you're sitting down. They said you don't have to wear your mask, but while you're moving around, they'd like you to wear a mask. So what we're going to ask you to do is when you come up, if you would don the mask and pick up your award, and maybe next year we'll be back to something closer to normal. But thank you very much for being here this morning. Those of you who are out there at your workstation tuning in, thanks for sticking with us. We're going to have some great messages this morning, and stick around for the end, because there's a surprise announcement at the end of the program today. Something else that we've learned about ourselves from COVID. So hang in there. We'll be back again at the end of the program. Thanks very much, everybody. Have a great morning.
Thank you, Dr. Tejan. I'd like to thank my staff that are here, managing the live stream, managing all the events. This slide deck was created by Hector Ramirez. He's in the back there. Nate Gomes is operating the live stream. We've got Dylan McMullen taking pictures. This is his first day back. He is a father once again. He has a new baby, so congratulate Dylan if you see him. We also have Kathleen Ochoa, who started in communications. We have Stacy Arancibia and Patty Espinoza in events. And then from EdTech, we have Lorraine Demarest back in the booth, and Tim Ryan operating a camera. So it takes a lot to do these productions. So let's give them all a round of applause. And Dr. Tejan mentioned the Ready to Return campaign. We have worked with a lot of different media outlets this year to really tell our story. I want to encourage all of you here in the audience and at the live stream, feel free to contact me. We do want to tell your story. We want to tell the story of MCOE, of the districts we serve, of how we collaborate, and we're good partners with not only those districts, but other organizations in the community. Email me at info@mcoe.org. That's the easiest way, because you might not know how to spell my last name. The other thing that really stood out to me about his remarks were recognizing and understanding different viewpoints. And some people, answering messages on social media, especially during the beginning of the pandemic, I really saw both sides of the spectrum. There are people that feel very strongly on both sides about especially closing schools or keeping schools open. From my personal experience as a parent and someone who has children in school, I think that providing options for parents and students and families in our school communities is the right choice, but I would say that to everyone. You know, make sure that we're paying attention to people's different viewpoints and perspectives, and understanding that they're not wrong, it's just their own viewpoint. Okay, so I encourage all of you to also follow us. I got to get back to my script here. On social media, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The handle is @MercedCOE. You'll see all kinds of cool stuff there. But moving right along, I'm going to invite our very own Director in Educational Services, Dr. Ozzie DeLuna, up to the stage to talk about social emotional well-being. Dr. DeLuna.
Nathan is tall. So, how do we start this, right? How do we start these conversations of who we are? So this morning, I was getting ready, and I'm putting on a suit that fits too big because I've lost some weight, because I've been working out. So I get up at 4 in the morning, and my wife said, I usually get up around 4, and I'm getting ready to do my workout, and she goes, "Are you ready?" And she's very detail-oriented, very structured. And she begins to ask me these questions. How long do you have? Do you have your speech? Do you have your structure? Do you have your process? And then she begins to just throw things at me, and I'm like, I got it, babe. I got it. I'm good. But I started to feel the stress. So, okay, this morning I'm getting ready, and suddenly she leaves to work. I'm getting ready to go to work, and my daughter Aaliyah runs out and says, "Dad." "Yes, mija?" "Comb your hair." "Dr. T, I think it's growing back." But she makes me laugh. She's my comedian. And then Kiana runs up to me and says, "Dad." "Yes, mija?" "Dad, remember, your journey begins the day you find your purpose, not the day of your interview." And I'm like, man, that's pretty good, mija. Well, I learned that from this guy that talks about leadership, Dad. But she's very critical, very analytical, very structured. But she's very thoughtful about what she speaks about. She had a speech impediment in the beginning of her learning how to speak at the age of 2 and 3. And then I have Zoe. And Zoe runs up to me and says, "Dad, precious moment, the precious present, be in the room." So in this moment of getting ready to leave, within these 15 minutes, I have the 4 structures that I think about we all work through. I have a detailed person, which is my wife, telling me what to do, how to do it, when to do it, why to do it. And I love her for that because she keeps me in line. I have my comedian, the one that makes me laugh about life, Aaliyah, who's 7. I have Kiana, who keeps me logical and sequential and to speak to protect. And then I have Zoe, my nurturing heart. I think about that, those 4 styles. We have that here. So I want to thank Dr. Steve Tejan for his phenomenal leadership in the last 4 years. So please give him a round of applause. His executive cabinet, Eva Chavez, John Magnuson, Susan Constant, and Janet Riley. With their leadership, we have been moving through this process as leaders. And so thank you, because they have given us a perspective of how to move forward. So please give them a round of applause. And I want to talk about our words: nurture, serve, lead. Nurture, serve, lead. We have a torch that lights the way, a torch that in the moment of darkness might be the guiding light. Nurture. How may I nurture myself so I may nurture others? How may we serve? We all need support. How may we lead? If we think about these core words, they are actually the design for reconnecting. We have been away for a couple months, a year and a couple months. But it's how do we connect with our hearts, our minds, and be in the room? See, that's the heavy lift. Because there are 2 sides. At the end, we're still one. And if we use our torch and we use the nurture, serve, and lead, that might be the way to move forward. So you think about us moving forward as an organization. It starts with you, and it starts with me, and it starts with us. So I'm going to tell you a story about Zoe that reminds me of the power that we have as human beings, as individuals. Zoe's my compassionate, heart-giving child. So one day, we were in San Francisco, and we were walking by, and there was a homeless lady with a baby, about 30. And Zoe reaches into her pocket or her purse and says, "Dad, I'm going to give her $5, my $5 allowance. I go, mija, it's your money, it's your choice. You earned that, your design, your decision. And so she reaches in, gives her the money. And then so later on we debrief that. And I go, mija, please describe your reason or your purpose for that. And she said, Dad, we have so much, we need to help others. We need to lift others. And I said, okay, that's good. And the reason she talked about that is because during our dinner tables, we have 5 rules. We have 5 rules we talk about in our family. Number 1, we all fall. We all fall. 2, we must get up. 3, it's okay to cry. Wipe them away. 4, never give up. 5, keep moving forward. So let me describe what those rules are for as adults when we do this kind of work. We all fall. We all fall physically, sometimes emotionally. We carry a lot of weight. The higher we are in an organization, the more we serve as teachers, administrators, support staff, bus drivers, clerical, secretaries, administrative assistants. We carry a lot. We sometimes carry anger, frustration, pain. Over the last year and a half, these are the kind of things that have been bottled up. We all fall. How do we get up? So when I think about that, getting up, sometimes I have enough strength to push myself up and dust myself off and keep moving forward. Sometimes. But sometimes I have to reach up and someone has to help me get up because I don't have any more. They need to pick me up. So as they reach down and they pick me up, I have to remember that someone else needs to be picked up, and I pick them up. And as we're getting up, we dust ourselves off, we wipe away our tears. That's empathy, compassion, because we all have something. We all are tired, we have fatigue, compassion fatigue. So how we reconnect is important. But it starts with your heart and your mind. Now, we need to move forward. We need to move forward. And that we got to stabilize and we got to think about that because we can never give up. People are looking at us as educators and as an organization to lead this path. We are the ones holding the torch. We are the ones that nurture, serve, and lead. And as we think about that, we keep moving forward, one step at a time. That's the weight we carry, and that's the responsibility we have. We're all leaders in this room. Not by position, by what we do in our hearts and our mind. And when we get tired, and we will, think of the word nurture, serve, and lead. Think of the torch. It inspires hope, enlightenment. So, it was tested by my daughter Zoe. About 3 years ago, these are rules we've talked about since they were little kids, like 2, 3, 4, 5. About 3 years ago, Zoe was going blind from her eyes. So we took her to the doctor, and they said, we got to change the prescription. So we changed it once. 2nd month, again. 3rd month, again. 4th month, again. And the kind of leader that I am, I kind of hold that in. So the doctor pulls us aside and says, there's something else going on. We need to make a special appointment in San Francisco to make sure that her eye's okay and there's nothing else going on in the brain. So, okay, we're good to go. Let's go. So we make an appointment. 3 months later, we're driving to San Francisco. And she always shares the story about the homeless lady. Okay, so just to kind of cheer it up. So we're moving forward. And so as she gets there, she reads the signs, cancer treatment center, cancer treatment center, cancer treatment center, cancer treatment center. And she goes, okay, Dad, do I have cancer? No, you don't have cancer. We're going to check your eyes. It's on the 4th floor. Dad, I can read. I'm educated. If I have cancer, I'm going to die. I need to know. My legs got so weak. And she goes, walk me to the restroom. And I'm walking her, and I'm holding back my tears. How do I find here the nurture, serve, and lead? So they finally call us in. She turns around and goes, Dad, just like Rocky, we fall, we got to get back up. And I'm like, wow. And then Leah goes, yeah, we're all Rocky. Let's fight cancer. Well, at the end, it wasn't cancer. It was her neural connectors to her eyeball weren't connecting because she was growing too fast. And I'm like, that's part of the journey. But then I think about that. How do we find the stories that we all carry over the last year? That's nurture, serve, and lead. So I want you to think about that. There are 5 things you can do. And here's how I'm going to wrap it up. How might we, as an individual, listen? Listen. Give time for that. 2, empathy. We must feel. We're all carrying something. How do we provide that safe space and reconnect? 3, trust that we're all trying to do our best jobs we can with the skills, the knowledge, and the ability we have, the mindset that we're powerful individuals and we're powerful as an organization. 4, hope for the future. The hope starts with us moving forward. 5, stability. If I think about stability, I have to be stable. Even though I'm getting hit from left or right, I have to be stable and be centered so I can move forward. So as you think about that, that is connecting, reconnecting. That's the culture we have to create. We have to create an environment where creativity can come again in this new design. And this culture is about us, nurture, serve, and lead. And if we use those core values and use the torch as our guiding process, we can become incredibly successful in designing a new future and how we decide to move forward. Thank you for your time today. Have a wonderful year, and may you all be safe.
Okay, thank you, Dr. De Luna. Let's give him another round of applause. Okay, so for employees who are being recognized for continuing education for the year 2020, please start lining up right over here, side of the stage. Stacy Arancibia and I think Cecilia Casillas is over there to help with signage and to point you in the right direction. So while those folks are getting situated, I'd like to take a moment to thank the sponsors who helped make this event possible. They support a lot of what we do at MCOE: American Fidelity Assurance Company, Educational Employees Credit Union, Fresno Pacific University Merced Campus, Merced School Employees Federal Credit Union, Teachers Pension, Travis Credit Union, and Valak Financial Advisors. We also have booths with members from CSEA and the Merced Fire Department. I didn't see them, but that's in my script. So they may be selling t-shirts for breast cancer awareness. And if you purchase one of those, if they are here, if they're not, I know that we do a big push for this every year. You're allowed to wear those shirts on Fridays in October to acknowledge breast cancer awareness. So it all goes to a very good cause. So there we go. So for those of you that are here in person, please take a few minutes during intermission or on your way out to stop by the booths, say hello, learn more about what they have to offer. And so, moving right along, we will now begin the first portion of the employee recognition event for the year 2020. And I would like to invite Dr. Tejan back up to the stage to help lead this.
Eva was distracting me backstage. I don't know what the heck's going on. I think it's Eva that's going to read the names, right? Yeah, that's Eva's job. Okay.
Good morning. You're trying to take my job. Come on now. Boy, these lights are bright. So I think people are going to line up, and then you need to make sure you bring your card with you, please. That's not only for the continuous improvement part, but when it's years of service as well, because we rely on this. So as soon as the first person comes up, we'll get started. But since I have the mic, let me just take a few minutes to say thank you to all of you who've been patient and cooperating with us as we've asked a lot of you this year as far as acknowledging that you're aware of the COVID prevention plan, that you complete the survey on vaccination. All of those things, I know it's annoying to some, but is so important in order for us to allow people to remove the mask. So if you haven't already, because I sent it out late in May, if you haven't already completed the vaccination survey, please do. Of course, you can decline to state, that's your right for now. However, we do need you to say decline to state so that supervisors are then aware that you will continue to wear your mask. So all of that is very important. Again, it went out in May, went out in June, went out in July. I'm going to give it another few days and then I'll send it out again. At last count, we had over 900 responses, but there are over 1,300 of us. So still a good portion that haven't. So please take the time to do that. And then also to acknowledge that you've read the COVID prevention plan and you fill out the acknowledgement. There's also been some questions in regard to whether you have to do the daily self-assessment. And in this new phase that we're in, you no longer have to do it every day. You do it once. You have the acknowledgement of what the rules are, and that's all we're asking of you. And of course, we do want you to be safe and not come to work if you have symptoms. So when in doubt, please stay home and don't come to work until you know for sure that it wasn't that. So again, thank you for all of these extra things that you've done throughout the course of this year. So I'm still waiting. As soon as the first person's ready? We're ready? Okay, then. Oh, the screen, go up. Hector. See, what else can I talk about?
We're just going to go ahead and go.
We're going to go ahead and go? Okay. So first person coming up, I just need you to bring me your... Okay, oh, Vicky. Okay, this is Vicky Solis. She works in early education in our Head Start program, and she received her Family Services Certificate from CP University. Congratulations, Vicky. So you just take it in. Okay, so. And Brianna Ayala in Educational Services. She received her BA in Liberal Arts from Fresno Pacific University. So congratulations, Brianna. You can just keep going. Good morning. Federico Mendoza from Med Services. He received his Master of Arts in Kinesiology, Exercise Science from CSU Fresno. Congratulations, Federico. And Lydia Alvarez Padron from Early Education. She received her Master's of Arts in Child Development from CSU Stanislaus. Congratulations, Lydia. Oh, okay. Well, the list is longer in the program. So apparently we have some people who could not make it. We hope you're out there. Congratulations to them. Then the next piece of the program, let me see what's next. Intermission at 9:50. I think we're a little bit early, perhaps. What time is it?
That's all right. It's a longer lunch is what it means. It's
A longer break, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then we need to be back at our seats by
So-
10:10? That was it.
Okay. Okay, years of service.
Where?
Years of service right there.
Oh, and years of service. I don't read, I'm sorry. And years of service. So that's next for 2020. So we're doing 2 years. Because we couldn't be here last year, let's do the 2020 years of service. So those are in 5-year increments. And so same thing, please bring your card with you when you come up here. Are we ready? Okay, our first recipient for 2020. 5 years, Melissa Gomes, Early Ed Department, Teacher 2 in Head Start. Thank you, Melissa. 2025 years was Diana Chavez from Ed Services. She's an admin secretary. Thank you, Diana. Five years, also last year, was Amelia Jimenez, who's a Migrant Ed Program Director in Ed Services. Thank you, Amelia. Last year, 5 years, Denise Soto, who's a Human Resources Specialist in the HR Department. Five years, Sandra Aguilar, Early Ed Department, Early Head Start Home Visitor. Kiana Sanjoya, Ed Services Department. She's an Extended Learning Program paraeducator. Melissa Whitaker, we're up to 10 years now. 10 years in the Special Ed Department. She's an adaptive PE teacher. Thank you, Melissa. Another 10 years, Seema Mandal, Special Ed Department. She's a teacher of the visually impaired. Thank you, Seema. Also 10 years, Rebecca Meyer. She's a behavior analyst in the Special Ed Department. Thank you, Rebecca. Ten years, Liliana Lopez, Early Ed Department. She's a bilingual family services specialist. Yes? I think I got FSS provider. How's that? Good morning. This is Ingrid Osborne, 10 years, Special Ed Department. She's an ECSE teacher in the GROW program. Thank you, Ingrid. This is Edna Owens, who works in the Ed Services Department. She's 10 years with us, and she's an Extended Learning Program leader. Thank you, Edna. Okay. What?
We're getting mixed up because some people are coming that are not yet.
Oh. Okay, so right now we're doing 2020. So if you're 2021, if you would please wait until we get to 2021. It's okay, it happens. Another 2025 year, Carolina Tafoya Maldonado Villegas, Early Education Department. She's an Early Head Start home visitor. How are you? Good. 10 years in 2020 for Selena Cruz, Special Ed Department, Instructional Support Assistant 1 driver. Thank you, Selena. And 10 years, Nathan Gomes, Superintendent's Office. He's a multimedia production specialist. Thank you, Nate. 10 years last year for Imelda Ruesga, Early Ed Department, Home-Based Coordinator. Thank you, Imelia. 10 years for Norma Chavez, Ed Services Department. She's with Career Education and College Advisor is her title. Thank you, Norma. Good morning. Benjit, okay. 10 years, Benjit Gill, Special Ed Department. He's an Instructional Support Assistant 1 driver. Thank you, Benjit. All right, another 10-year, Jessica Alvarez Rangel, Special Ed Department, Instructional Support Associate. BI? Behavior Intervention. Yeah, these are these special people. Thank you for what you do. 10 years. Myrna Russell, 10 years with the Special Ed Department. She's an Instructional Support Assistant driver. Here's one more. All right, last year was 15 years for Elizabeth Espinoza, Ed Services Department, Academic Counseling Assistant in the Migrant Ed program. right, another 15-year last year was Vanessa Giralte, Special Ed Department Instructional Support Assistant 2 driver. Good morning. Okay. Another 15-year last year, Maria Bautista, Early Ed Department Lead Social Skills Trainer 2. Thank you, Maria.
Too long.
Wow, okay. 15 years last year for Susan Hutchins, Early Ed Department Fiscal Clerk Senior. Thank you, Susan. Wow, I can't believe it. Also, another 15-year for Enrique Altamirano, Early Ed Department Fiscal Clerk Senior, soon to be Social Skills Trainer. Congratulations to you. Okay, another 15-year, Denise Ibarra, Early Ed Department Family Enrollment Specialist 2. Thank you, Denise. May Mua, Early Ed Department, also 15 years, Family Enrollment Specialist. Okay. 15 years last year for Valerie Campos, Early Ed Department, Program Supervisor, Subsidy. Okay. Same department, Monica Sevilla, 15 years, Early Ed Department. She's a Program Manager, Subsidy. All right, 15 years, Rosa Barragan, Early Ed Department, Director, Early Learning Support Programs. Also 15 years for Monica Esquivel, Special Ed, Instructional Support Assistant 1 driver. This is Dora Robles, 15 years, Ed Services Department, Staff Secretary. Thank you, Dora. All right, we moved on to 20 years. In 2020, 20 years, Nicole Herzog, Business Services Department, and Nicole is a Payroll Services Analyst. Good morning. All right, another 20 years in 2020, Sarah Laughlin, Educational Services Department, Instructional Support Associate 2, Migranet. Migranet? This is Frank Zarate, Ed Services Department, Independent Studies Teacher, Comeback Charter. All right, thanks, Frank. This is Gerald Ray, 20 years in 2020, Ed Services Department. He's a Court Community School teacher. Thank you, Gerald. Also 20 years.
25.
Oh, sorry. 25 in 2020. Kimberly Sicarios? Close enough. Special Ed Department, Instructional Support Associate Vocational. Thank you, Kimberly. Okay, another 25. Hi. This is Roxana Pendergrass. She works as an Instructional Support Specialist, too, in Migranet. All right, we're up to 30 years in 2020. This is Donna Wilson. She works as an academic counseling assistant in the Ed Services Department. Thank you, Donna. 30 years. Okay. I think we're done. Now is it intermission? What? Oh, grab these things. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so, all right, now we've done all of 2020 for those who are present and those out there who didn't show up. Thank you for your years of service. We cannot speak enough or underestimate the power of that experience that just walked across the stage. All of it is very, very valuable. And coming from an HR perspective, where last year alone, you might be interested in this bit of information. Last year alone, the HR department and all that wonderful staff processed over 600 what we call primary personnel actions, which means brand new people coming to the organization, existing employees taking another job, as you heard me call out some people. So congratulations to those who got promoted, several of the people who walked the stage. Also employees who transferred to other locations. I saw Frank Zarate, who's now at Comeback. That happens a lot. And then, of course, those, unfortunately, the ones who left us. But when you think about just those actions, over 600 in 2021 is just remarkable. It's a lot of movement. And so thank you for those who stay with the organization, who promote with the organization, who encourage others to join us. We, too, have a labor shortage, and we're always looking to hire staff. So thank you for those who stay. All right, so with that, I think it is intermission time now. And according to the program, Nathan, you're probably supposed to be doing that. I'm sorry for... Are you right here? Okay, you can do it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you, Eva. Speaking of the labor shortage, I was on the phone with Bob Bassett yesterday. If you know folks who are interested in becoming an intern at Camp Green Meadows or have qualified to be a naturalist, please have them check EdJoin. We really need folks up there because we want that outdoor school to serve students in our new nurse facility that is opening in October. Along with Wired, you may have seen a job posting go out yesterday or two for Wired Cafe right around the corner here. Okay, so we are going to take a 20-minute intermission for a restroom break for folks here and to get ready for the recognition of the 2021 employees. We will also play a video created earlier this year for our annual education report that really does a great job of highlighting some of the struggles and accomplishments from the 2019-2020 school year. So we'll be back in about 20 minutes, and then folks who are going to be recognized for 2021 educational achievement and years of service, right when that video is over, go ahead and just start lining up over here, and we'll do the educational attainment first. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Steve Teachin, Merced County Superintendent of Schools, and I want to thank you for tuning into this video to learn about how schools have faced the health crisis caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Normally, we'd host several community meetings and celebrate the successes of our public schools with student performances and a presentation about the state of our schools here in the county. But like so many other parts of our lives, that changed this year, and we have to adapt to a virtual format to provide the report and this accompanying video that gives a glimpse into what it's been like this past year. It was almost exactly 1 year ago today that Governor Newsom announced restrictions to help slow the spread of COVID-19. Since that announcement, we have worked to ensure all students have the tools to succeed in a distance learning format, created plans and protocols for a safe return to in-person instruction, supported our districts to return to in-person instruction, all while adjusting to ever-changing guidelines set forth by state and public health officials. During the past year of the pandemic, we've been reminded just how vital our schools are to the surrounding communities, families, and most importantly, our students. I again thank you for taking the time to learn more about the school response to this health crisis.
I would plan and assume that it's unlikely that many of these schools will open before the summer break.
Last spring, when COVID-19 arrived on the horizon line, I think we were all very, very concerned about what we didn't know. We didn't know how fast it was going to spread. We didn't know how lethal it was going to be. We didn't know where it was in California. It was important for the superintendents in Merced County to have a common approach to this challenge because they felt that we're so interconnected with families working across school boundary lines. We wanted to try to be as together as we could be. Well, the thing that happened last winter when we first were notified that COVID-19 was in California was that the governor called all county superintendents together and asked us to try to lead the work as we dealt with this crisis. Here in Merced County, we have a weekly call with the health department and the superintendents, and I agreed that this would be our pivot point each week to meet together and talk and come up with a plan that we could use and implement throughout the county. It was probably about early April when superintendents here in Merced County realized that we weren't going to be able to return to school based on a comment that went public that the governor made to his own children, expecting schools not to reopen this year. By mid-April, we began to plan for what it would be like for the rest of the 1920 school year. And districts began deploying devices on a widespread basis. They purchased hotspots to make sure that students had better connectivity, and they continued to work through the spring semester last year. And then the next challenge was graduation for high school seniors, and we all hoped that there would be high school graduations, but by early May, it was clear that we weren't going to be able to hold in-person graduation ceremonies, and school districts began to transition toward a drive-through graduation approach. So in June, we began preparing for the next school year, and we expected to open in person. We planned it. We had a low rate of transmission in June, and then the 4th of July hit, and we had the first big surge in the state, and the governor announced on July 17th that we would not be opening again. We'd have to start in a virtual environment. And that's when it really began to settle in that we were in this for the long haul. So as we transitioned to a longer term approach to this challenge of the pandemic, school districts focused first and foremost on the health and nutrition of their children and built systems to make sure that kids got their meals every day, both a breakfast and a lunch. And so it's an incredible feat that was done by our school districts in very creative ways. We had districts that planned a drive-through drop-off where people would be in the parking lot and fill the trunk with a week's worth of meals, close the trunk, limit contact with the family. Other places we had meals being driven out into more rural areas on buses and being dropped off on people's porches. And so there are lots of ways that our community really rallied around the issue of food insecurity for kids that usually get 2 meals a day at school. The next thing that began to happen is that MCOE transitioned its staff from in-person staff development in our school districts to providing an online platform on MeTV. And MeTV had a daily schedule for students to work from by grade level. There were lesson plans available developed by our content specialists, and really it became a wonderful support system for teachers who were having to be introduced to distance learning for the first time last spring. It was utilized heavily by our community, and I'm very proud of the work our staff did to make sure that there was good content out there for kids during that period of time. The distance learning website that MCOE created covered a multitude of areas. It had a parent portal, it had a teacher portal, and it had a student portal. So there are resources for all the community to use during this time. There was a section on social emotional learning as well, because we know one of the things that's missing right now is this relationship that kids have in a classroom. And so we have to be aware that kids miss that. They need the connection of a significant adult in their life in a classroom, in a learning situation. They also miss the companionship of their age-like peers. And so the social emotional learning website was really one of our key additions to what we offered through the MCOE platform. One of the things that happened right away when the pandemic began to spread was all school districts had to take a look at their school safety plan and really conform to the new OSHA standards around COVID. And so schools set up many, many steps, including masking and physical and social distancing for students and adults. One of the things you'd notice if you walked into classrooms today that we didn't have last year this time are plexiglass study carrels. And by that I mean a simple three-sided barrier of plexiglass so the teacher can see the student, but it essentially surrounds the student. So anytime they're breathing or talking, that air is being stopped by the plexiglass and not spreading throughout the classroom. So that's really changed the way classrooms look, and it's limited the number of kids that can be in a classroom any given time. We have 20 districts here in the county, and our public health department couldn't answer 20 phone calls every day. So what we've done is use the county office as really the funnel to get information out from either the governor's office, CDE, the Department of Education in Sacramento, or our public health department. And so that has worked very, very well here in Merced County. What we've done is we've maintained a communication line to make sure that our districts understand the guidance that's coming from Sacramento or from our public health department. We have a weekly phone call with health department, and districts can ask questions directly. That's really enhanced our ability to have a consistent approach to how we're handling the outbreaks that may occur in our schools. And it's really allowed us to come together as a group of professionals that do the right thing every day for kids in our county. The other thing that Merced County Office of Education has done is continue to provide a key role of providing training for staff, particularly staff that maybe weren't as adept at using technology as we need to be today. And so we've put a lot of time and effort into making sure that our professional development now is done online. And we've also provided training for teachers on using the various applications that are now common in classrooms across the country. One of the other things I'd like to mention is the county office has taken a leadership role in the ask for more effective testing, the ask for more vaccines in our county, and to make sure that Merced County gets more attention than perhaps it has in the past. Many times California looks at the San Joaquin Valley as that place, oh, we'll get there eventually. We're gonna fly over it. Well, we need to make sure that the governor and other leaders in this state work to leverage whatever they can to support us. And I have to compliment our elected leaders from Merced County, Adam Gray and Senator Caballero, who have advocated for us, along with County CEO James Brown and our lead at MCDPH, Kristen Sullivan and Dr. Sandoval. We've all come together to make sure that Merced County is taken care of. What we've learned in the last year is that, first of all, the classroom is important, that kids need to be in a school and they need to have the relationship. That's really what education is about, that relationship. And so as we go into the future, there are a couple things we need to keep in mind. First of all, probably distance learning through digital platform is not going away. It'll be here, but we have to focus on how we engage students in the future and creating that relationship that we would have had otherwise in the classroom. One of the other things that we're going to have to probably face for another year at least is masking and social distancing. We don't know yet what August of 2021 will bring. And so we are thinking now we have to prepare for a standard school year, but we have to prepare for some students who may still choose to be in a virtual classroom. One of the other big problems that we've had, quite frankly, is the external forces of guidance every week. And the guidance has changed. And to give you an example, from January to today, early March, we've had probably 6 different guidance directives from the governor or from the legislature as they propose legislation for the new return to school year. We all want to be back in school so we can get back to some sense of normalcy and we can do what we know how to do. Thanks again for joining us for this annual report done virtually. If you'd like more information and you'd like to see the annual report, please go to mcoe.org/annual report. There you will find a lot of information that covers this past year. Folks, thank you so much for all you do for children in our community. I want you to stay safe, wear your masks, wash your hands, maintain your social distance so that next year we can be back in person.
All right, everyone, welcome back. And to our folks that are live streamed, hello. Wish you were here with us. And I hope that you did have a chance. I know several people were here out visiting the vendors, and thank you for that. If you didn't have an opportunity to view the annual report video that was on the screen, and that, if you were on the live stream, right on, mcoe.org/annual report. You can view the online version of the report from this past year and the accompanying video. Like I said, it's a really nice glimpse into everything that happened during the pandemic. So we've got a rowdy crowd over here of continuing education and folks that have years of service. So Eva, if you want to come up here, and we'll keep this show moving.
Okay, just giving you a moment to take your seat, please. Everybody's seated that's going to sit? Oh, okay. So we'll start with 2021 Continuous Improvement Professional Development. So I'm ready for first person. Where are you? Any moment. All right, here we go. Hi, Ramika. Okay, congratulations to Ramika Lawson. She works in IT department, and she received her Bachelor of Science in Business and IT. Congratulations, Ramika. And we also have Ruth Sanchez from Ed Services, who received her AA Social and Behavioral Sciences and an AA in Psychology from Merced College. Love it. Thank you, Ruth. Good morning. This is Amparo Ponce. She works in special ed, and she received her AA Communications Associate of Arts degree, Psychology, from Merced College. Hi, Stephanie. Stephanie Flowers works in special ed. She received her AA Social and Behavioral Science from Merced College. Harvinder Kaur Kandola, special ed. Her Clear Education Specialist, mild, moderate, and mild, severe. MCOE Teacher Induction Program. So our very own teacher induction program. Congratulations. This is the vocalist. Canella Fulbright McCubry. All right. Ed Services, multiple subject credential. Cal State Teach Fresno. Oh, Miss Nina. And congratulations to Nina Mendoza. She works in the Human Resources Department. She received her Bachelor of Science in Business Administration from CSU Stanislaus. Congratulations, Nina.
Last name is Ueno.
Ueno? Yeah. Okay. Katie Ueno. She works in special ed. Her Master of Arts in Special Ed, Applied Behavior Analysis, Arizona State University. Good morning to Sandra Salgado, Special Ed, Education Specialist, Preliminary Credential, CSU Stanislaus. Again, Nicole Herzog, her married name. Congratulations on that too. Certificate of School Business Payroll Professional 1 from CASBO. Good morning. Marisol Gaitan, Early Education, Teacher Permit and Child Development. Congratulations to Marisol. Good morning. And congratulations to Yvette Garcia, who's now back in Early Education Department. She received her Master of Arts in Business Administration. Oh, okay. So we're going to move on to years of service. But before I start with that, I've been asked to just explain a little bit about the cutoff dates. So some of you might be wondering why you're not up here when you just completed your 5 years August 1st, for example. Well, the reason for that is because we have to have a cutoff date, and the cutoff date that we use is July 31st. So everybody who completed 5, 10, 15, 20 as of July 31st of 2021, that's who's up here. Anybody who completes their 5, 10, 15, 20, and so on, starting August 1 forward, will be recognized next year. And of course, that's because we have to put together a list and order the recognitions, and a ton of work that's done by Cecilia Casillas. So everybody, please give her a hand, because she's been working. I want to say last night she texted me about 10 o'clock and said, okay, I'm going to go home now. So the amount of work it takes is tremendous. The other thing I'd like to say is that I apologize in advance, and we certainly mean no offense to anyone who we were recognizing you for 5, 10, 15, although you tell us you've been here 30, 35, 40. And the reason for that is because the system gives us a list according to what I just explained for cutoffs, but we have people here that were with us before the system that we currently have, and some of those records are on microfilm or laser, and so that is why it's not neat and tidy, and that is why we can't always say with certainty for those who've been here over, say, 40 years. One that comes to mind is John Russell Curry. I hope you're watching, because I don't think you're here. You deserve a shout out. I think it's 40 years, right, Cecilia? For John Russell Curry. So thank you for speaking up. Thank you for your dedicated service to the students. And with that, I'd like to get started with a 5-year recognition for 2021. First person, Stacy Shasky, Ed Services Department Coordinator. Congratulations, Stacy. Okay. Marissa Perez, Early Ed Department, EHS Teacher 2. Harpreet Takar, Ed Services Department, Program Advisor, 5 years. You were just here. Again, this is Ruth Sanchez, who completed 5 years in Ed Services Department as an admin secretary. Good morning. Mai Ku Mua, Ed Services Department Staff Secretary, 5 years. Edith Marroquin, Ed Services Department, Family Services Specialist in Migrant Education. This is Rosa Lopez, completed 5 years as a Family Services Specialist in Migrant Ed. Alejandro Castro, Ed Services Department, Career Education and College Advisor. Congratulations. And Amber Copeland, 5 years completion, Special Ed Department as a part-time instructional support assistant. Jeanette Carbajal, who works in our Head Start program as a training coordinator. Congratulations, Jeanette. Okay, congratulations to Frank Casillas III, who works for us as a part-time instructor in environmental horticulture, who's married to Cecilia, who did all the work. Thank you, Frank, for letting her stay late and do all this work. Sean Kiesel. This is Sean Kiesel, who's completed 5 years in business services as a network analyst senior in our IT department. Thank you, Sean. Ellen Williams, Early Ed Department as a preschool aide in Head Start. Thank you, Ellen. 5 years for Abraham Vela Jr., who works as a part-time academic tutor in Migrant Ed. Thank you, Abraham. To Belen Garcia, also completed 5 years. She's an instructional support assistant to driver in special ed. Thank you, Belen. Maria Noriega, 5 years, Ed Services. She's an admin secretary. Jose Gonzalez, Ed Services. He's a part-time academic tutor in Migrant Ed. Thank you, Jose. Amanda Solis, she's an early Head Start home visitor. Good morning. We moved to 10? Okay, we've moved to 10 now. Completed 10 years this past 21. Maria Morales, she's a teacher 2 in Head Start. Was returned for command performance. Edna Owens, 10 years, Ed Services ELP leader. Thank you, Edna. And Federico Mendoza, youth outreach specialist, 10 years. Hope Jones, who works for us as a preschool aide in Head Start, 10 years. Thank you, Hope. Okay, Seema Mandal, special ed department. She's a teacher of visually impaired, 10 years. Thank you, Seema. Hi, Tony. How are you? 10 years for Mark Hagelseib, tutor services supervisor in Migrant Ed. Good morning. 10 years, Jacqueline Hernandez, who's an early Head Start home visitor. Thank you, Jacqueline. Alexandrina Acuna? Yes. Special Ed Department, teacher of Special Ed preschool. Brandy Gomes, who's an instructional support assistant in our Special Ed Department, 10 years. 15? Okay, we've moved on to 15 years. Nathan Quevedo, Superintendent's Office, Media and Communications Manager. 15. Now, 15 was a special year. We took over the Head Start program, so we're going to see a lot of people come through 15 years for Head Start, whether here or away. Hi. Speaking of, this is Juanita Burns, who's been with the Head Start program now as a master teacher, 15 years. Thank you, Juanita. And Cindy Badal, who's a school administrative secretary in Ed Services Department. Come back, Charter? Come back, Charter. And Merced Scholars. Thank you, Cindy. 15 years. Hi. Anna Miller, who's been a teacher for quite some time with us, 15 years. Charter homeschool teacher. Thank you, Anna. Good morning. And this is Estela Perez, who's a master teacher, also in our early Head Start program. So 15 years. Regular Head Start or early Head Start? Early Head Start. I got that right. Thank you, Estela.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Good morning. Okay, another one of our Head Start teachers, Beatriz Sanchez, Head Start teacher 2. Good morning. Gabriela, beautiful. 15 years, Gabriela Jimenez, associate teacher in Head Start. Okay, Kathy Davis, who's also been with us for 15 years, used to be Head Start, used to be HR, now Special Ed, admin secretary. Marla Woods, also 15 years, data entry records tech in the Head Start program. Good morning. Brenda Somerville, who's a teacher 2 in our Head Start program, 15 years. Good morning. Maria Calderon, associate teacher in Head Start. Also in our Head Start program, Joyce Darbo, Special Services Manager. Head Start as well, right? Bilingual FSSP, Lucia Arroyo. Okay, and this is Gigi Bettis, who's been with us for 15 years, used to be Head Start, now has been HR for 4 years, and we are so thrilled to have her with us. So thank you, Gigi. Also CSEA President, an often thankless job, but we thank you, Gigi, and all the good work that you do for the organization. And this is Ozzy Verduzco, Oz Verduzco, Network Infrastructure Engineer. Another one from our IT department, Candace Giles. Hope I got that right. Business Services Department. She's an IT services assistant. IT again. Mike Friedberg, IT user support manager. Yes, another IT. Sanford Hoffman, IT applications analyst. Thank you, Sanford. That was the year for IT. They hired a lot of people. And this is Janet Riley, completed 15 years in the organization. She's the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services. Congratulations to Janet. Teacher 2, Head Start, Suk Lee, 15 years. Kathy Cha, Teacher 2, Head Start. It's a banner year for Head Start, I'm telling you. Okay, and Andrea Crethard-Mays, who's now in Educational Services, used to be Early Ed. She's an instructor. She teaches foundations in early education. Thank you, Andrea. Montine Gomes, who's completed 20 years, Special Ed Department, Behavior Intervention Special Ed Teacher. So we've moved on to 20. Hi, Marcy. Marcy Gamble, Special Ed Teacher, 20 years. Thank you, Marcy. Selena Mayorga, who works as a data management assistant in the Migrant Ed Department, 20 years. Thank you, Selena. Sandra Stevens has completed 20 years. She works as a youth services specialist for foster students. Thank you, Sandra. 20 years, Tula Eccles, who works as a career educator in the ROP program. Congratulations, Tula. I was thinking we just had a Maricela. Who's Marcy? You go by Maricela? Maricela. Okay. Okay, 25 years now. Maricela Cruz, Ed Services. She's an instructional support specialist too in Migrant Ed. 25. Okay, another 25. Annette Palmer, who's a coordinator in our Special Ed Department. 25 years. Congratulations, Annette. Annette, who used to be IS back in the day. Hi. Hello. Vern Alvarado, who's a network manager for MCOE, 25 years. Hi. Lupe Zapata, instructional support assistant 2 in the Migrant Ed Department, 30 years. Thank you, Lupe. Thank you. The queen of 40 years. You know, earlier I was talking about how we have so much movement, but then we have the steady, loyal people like Estella. She's completed 40 years. All of the years with migrant? All 40 years in our migrant ed program, family services supervisor. Congratulations, Estella. I don't know that we, is that it? I think that's it. And then just, many chose not to come up, and that's okay. Just know that we value you just the same. And a special thank you, 15-year completion for 3 more people in HR, but I'm going to call out 2 because you wouldn't come up here. And so congratulations to Shannon Espinoza and Myra Barrigas, right? Barajas. Barajas, Myra Barajas. Also, 15 years, so thank you to both of you.
Also 15 years, Eva Chavez. And
Okay, we this is kind of weird. Okay, and having completed 5 years with us as our fearless leader, and we thank you, Steve, for your devotion to this organization and for leading us through these especially difficult times. You are the person for this job. So on behalf of all of the organization, Dr. Steve Teachin, 5 years. I'll take yours.
thank you.
Okay. That was pretty funny at the end there, wasn't it? All right. It's always nice to be hang on one second. Hang on one second. Put it down. I was going to do this little shtick here. So it's always nice to be recognized at events. 15 glorious years here at MCOE. So there you go. And congratulations to everyone else, too. This is really an accomplishment. Okay, so we are actually pretty far along here. We're ahead of schedule, so you'll be released a little early. But we do have one more presenter here, and it's our very own Dr. Mitch Casados in the Special Education Department. He will speak on social emotional learning and thriving through trauma. Dr. Casados.
All right. Looks like the mic works. That's a success. All right. First and foremost, I wanted to just thank Steve and Susan and the leadership team for having me here today. I really appreciate that. And, amongst a very lauded group, to be associated with you guys, I really, really do honestly appreciate it. So here we are, a success within itself. Given all the time and these crazy times we've been in, we successfully are here. And as I kind of, experienced everybody coming up, getting recognized for the years of service, both from last year and this year, I realized, this is it. You are here. You are it. This group actually represents my talk. You guys represent strength, endurance, perseverance, all of that over time. You're it, embodied in a human being. So I thought, okay, here's the people, and organizationally, MCOE, same thing. We're still here too. We made it. Been nurturing, serving, leading for years, and here we are. We've survived. As a group, some of you 30 years, holy smokes, and some of you new, but as an organization, we've done it. So I really want to focus in the brief time that we have on not just surviving tough times, traumatic times, etc., but really thriving through them. Small difference, but huge difference. The question then becomes here is, how does MCOE nurture a graceful transition through this time? And the answer really is you. We do it together as a group, as we've always done it as human beings, really. So we will do this together. We will get through it. The fact that we're here means we're getting through it. So we're going to talk about doing it gracefully and thriving through it. All right. So, Hector, my friend, next slide. All right. We're going to survive this one too. There it is. All right. So, Steve mentioned earlier a little bit about this human element kind of coming into play as an organization. And sometimes as schools and educational placements, we kind of take that for granted. We think, yeah, of course, it's people. But a lot of times that's not emphasized. So here's the good news. You know, the world's been trying to take us out, for forever. We've been through natural disasters, wars, you name it. World's been trying to get us. And yet we stand there and say, no, thank you. We are going to survive. So some of this human element stuff, it is already there within us. We don't have to learn it. We don't have to buy it. We just wake up and we're there. You all have PhDs in being human. This morning you graduated, when you woke up, you're that. And the tools are with us. So what's interesting about that, to kind of highlight some of the confidence this should give us in the survival, is, again, we've been through this, and we have processed some of this stuff. I mean, down to extinction. Very, very difficult times that we didn't know we would get through. So through generations and generations of those experiences, we've kind of picked up the ability to regulate our emotions and plan, and these tools have come together to help us survive. So social emotional learning, it's not just some poster, cool thing that the state's bringing down, the feds are bringing down. It's actually a really critical human survival tools and a set of tools, and there they are. It's not just about social emotional learning. No, it's about letting our human strengths come out and help us survive, which we are doing. And so the great news of it all is you do have what it takes already. You don't wake up knowing how to do long division, but I guarantee you wake up, unless you're a sociopath or something, how to empathize, right? You can see somebody else and care about them. That's with us already. So while it may be scary times, we've been through many, many generations of them, we will survive this one. We are surviving this one. So we've got what it takes. That's the point of this, for sure. Next slide, please. So not only do we have the tools, not only is it there built into us, but traumatic events, trauma, difficulty, however you want to slice it, has actually been part of some of our best ideas. Some of our most important ideas have come in times of trouble. When our food supply kind of started to dry up, we had to follow animals around to scavenge with them, essentially. When that time got tough, schlepping all our stuff around, I got to go and follow the elephant again. We built the wheel. We created the wheel to make that easier, to make us eat better. Once the herds were a little bit more difficult to find, we decided, hey, we're going to learn how to grow our own food instead of following it. We did that. And it only came because we were starving, something that people would think is a horrible experience. Of course, it would be, and traumatic, but look what came out of it. When we kind of looked and reflected on the fact that our resources here on Earth are, not going to last forever, we started looking to other places to go. And to beat the Russians in the 60s, we put together a giant tin can and went into space. All from pressure, these phenomenal ideas probably would not have happened had we not had the traumatic pressure behind it. And there we go, time and time again. Okay. So let's just briefly, kind of want to highlight some of the elements of trauma. What the heck is it? Because it's not just the event. No, there's more going on, kind of like in the classrooms with discipline. It's not just the kids' behavior alone. Rebecca, I know you're an expert on this, right? There's other things going on. There's the teachers, the experience the kid had that morning, the classroom itself, us as teachers and educators. It's more than just the event itself, like trauma. So we have the event. We have the individual experience of that event. And then we have kind of the maladaptive stuff that comes out of it. The drugs sometimes, self-harm, putting your head in the sand, all kinds of things, human beings. As a psychologist, I confront these things. People try to hide them, but you can see them. We do these tactics because we're just really, really afraid. It's that second point that is really critical and really relevant for MCOE and educational institutions for that matter. We can't really control the trauma part. It's coming. But the second part we absolutely control, and it's really, really critically powerful. There was a picture on the slide earlier, but let me tell you how powerful, just briefly, really briefly. There's been a study on people getting shots, and hey, relevant to now, right? Vaccine time, I got to go get the shot, probably 2 shots, so it's worse. What studies have shown is that the anxiety about thinking about getting the shot actually is bigger than the shot by something order of 30 to 40%. That is remarkable. Our fear of getting the shot is actually worse than the shot, than the actual shot. That's how powerful our perceptions are and how big of a role they play in how we get through and thrive through trauma. So let's kind of look at that a little bit. Again, sorry for being the psych guy, but I can't help it. That's what I do, so that's what you're going to see here. Look at how our perceptions shape our reality. What do you see? The duck or the rabbit? The drabbit. Do you see faces or vases? What is it? I mean, the fact is, it's both of those things, really, and your mind kind of cycles between each of them. But your mind actually has an impact on the reality you experience, including the reality with the trauma in it. So how we interpret this stuff makes a big deal. So with a trauma, what do you see? Tragedy or opportunity? Which one is it? You're going back and forth. One's the duck, one's the rabbit. So tragedy or opportunity? The actual truth is, it's tragedy and opportunity. It is literally both together. You can't have one without the other, really. It's both of them. So as a human being, it's just a matter of what you focus on more. The key is to balancing these things. Do you see a horrible tragedy we'll never get through? Or do you see an opportunity to learn and develop and to realize, hey, we've been through this before, and in fact, I'm going to get stronger because of it? That's a literal choice, duck or rabbit. So the idea is, how do we get it balanced just right? And that kind of is how School Connectedness fits into that. Let's talk a little, just very, very briefly, about the anxiety itself. People think, oh, I don't want to be anxious. And by the way, anxious is a fear about future events. It's not even the event. It's going to happen sometime in the future. But just the fact that there is anxiety isn't a bad sign. In fact, it's a good sign in a way. It's a very famous curve. It's the Yerkes-Dodson curve. And what this basically shows the relationship between performance and anxiety. Too much anxiety, performance goes down. Too little anxiety, performance goes down. Just enough anxiety actually helps you perform better. And you can see this with baseball players. It's actually so fascinating. They get up to the plate, right? They got like 10 different things they do. They're wearing their old socks from high school time. They're ready. Those are really just ritualistic signs that they're nervous, because the fact is hitting that ball is so hard. It is ridiculous. If you get 1 out of 3, you're getting a raise. It's very difficult. So these outward ritualistic signs are signs that anxiety is there. But with a little bit of that anxiety, we hit it out of the park. Same thing here. Sometimes just coming back from summer vacation is traumatic, right? But the fact that you have a little bit of that is okay. And in fact, we'll have your performance level as educators go up as well. So don't let the fact that you feel a little anxious mean or interpret that as, oh, something's wrong. Something's right. And actually, it can actually help you out. So the key is balancing that anxiety that maybe is happening within a trauma framework. So let's get down to brass tacks a little bit. That's the kind of big human one. Let's talk about MCOE a little bit. The CDC talks really, really specifically about how to create that balance. And I know for a fact that MCOE is embracing that. I mean, that's what we're invited to speak about that. The very fact that we're here is a signal of that. It boils down to school connectedness and connection with other people. And that goes way back to the human elements of the strength being the group carrying us through the trauma. So let's look at this list. I read it and I thought, okay, it seems, where's the magic here? Where's the magic? Here we go. Reinforcing positive behavior through praise, which we do within a PBS framework here at MCOE. Consistent communication, signaling that things are normal, like the fact that there's a bell schedule and that we have a calendar. SEL content in the classrooms, this is definitely up and coming and has been slowly moving in. Opportunities for collaboration, express concerns, resiliency. I hope you think what I thought, which is, that's it? We've been doing that. That's the point. You don't have to do much. Just come and do what you've been doing. That's enough sign of safety for your kids, parents, and all of us, really. Just do what you did. The pressure is really off you. You are a human being. You have the tools. Come and do what you've always been doing. And that's really it. Yeah, you're going to have cases. Don't get me wrong. There'll be some kids and parents that are overwhelmed, some staff that'll be overwhelmed. But as in the times of the caveman, we will do it together. And I can honestly say, I've worked for many places, that there is a commitment to a collaborative atmosphere. So everybody's open to help. So you're in a good place for that, for sure. All right, let's just talk a little briefly about the individual level. I tried to make it as broad as possible. Being a psych guy, I can get lost in this stuff. But really on the kind of mind, body, spirit side of things, that seems to be what human beings are. Really some things we could do in the mind side is really focusing on the fact that you are safe. You know, there is COVID, no doubt about it, but you live in one of the most powerful countries and safest places you could be in something like that. Really remembering that, reiterating these ideas that you actually are safe. You may not feel safe, but you are safe. And those are two different things. In terms of the body, you know, recognizing when you're getting aroused. And we're going to do an exercise together, again, very short, about how to mediate some of that arousal. The spiritual side really is that connection to organization and people. You know, make sure you lean on these resources during that time. They're there, and they're actually built for that. So these are some of the ways that you can kind of combine together. But the mind one is a really, really powerful one, extremely powerful. So let's just do one little last thing. We're going to do a little exercise together. Tell me about your mom. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to do a basic body one here. And I know what you're thinking. Big whoop, breathe. Wow, Mitch, we pay you to do that. Fantastic. It's more than just that. While we do this deep breathing thing, is to just remind you that these tools and systems in you are there to get you through trauma. The breathing is the way that we activate the system, but the fact that the system is there is the real point. And we won't get all super technical, but this gets into the fight or flight system more or less and uses gases in your lungs that trigger it. So we're going to actually do that now. And I'd recommend doing this 5 to 7 times a day. Sometimes I'll do it at the stop sign or the red light, and I'll try to do it. You don't have to do this only when you're nervous. You can do it anytime. In fact, when you're relaxed is even better. If you can condition your body to be more relaxed, it will stay more relaxed. And you have these tools work for you. So we're going to do it together. You're going to breathe in through your nose for 5 seconds. I want you to push your stomach out, really make room for that diaphragm to open up. Hold it for 5 seconds. Exhale out of your mouth for 5 seconds. Really squeeze that stomach tight. Get all the air out of it. We'll do it 5 times in a row and see how we end up. So here we go. I'm going to click my little fingers. Here we go. In for 5 seconds. Hold it for 5 seconds. Exhale, really squeeze it out. Let's do it 2 more times. In for 5. Hold for 5. Exhale for 5. One more time. Here we go. Breathe in. Hold it. Exhale. And remember, we've been through it already. That's it. Simple as that. We will get through this one as well. All right.
Okay. Thank you again, Dr. Mitch Casados. Great job. I do want to remind you in the program that you should have gotten as you entered, there are a bunch of restaurants downtown that are happy to give you a discount today for lunch. So if you stick around for lunch, check those out. As always, it has been my pleasure to help move things along at our annual kickoff. I look forward to an incredible school year. I do encourage you all here in the audience and viewing virtually, feel free to reach out to us. We love to tell your stories. Email me directly at info@mcoe.org. And I'd like to welcome Dr. Tejan back up to the stage.
Thanks, Nathan. And you saw that we had a little bit of a snafu. We had one of our 20-year awards in the wrong group. And so, Sandra, come on back up. We have your 20-year award here for you. Sandra Stevens, where are you? There you are. So that breathing exercise is really, really great. Thanks, Mitch. I was breathing along with Mitch and starting to yawn. And those of you back at the offices, your eyes were probably closed, we know. And it's good to do that every once in a while. You know, this summer I have resisted consistently being tethered to another device. I refused to get one of those darn watches that was going to tell me when to stand up, how long to exercise, and when to breathe, because that's what they do. And then my daughter bought one for my wife. And then it was a competition over who was exercising more. And I couldn't even compete. And so I gave in, and now I'm being told when to breathe, when to stand up by this darn thing on my wrist. So, you know, it's interesting, though, how Mitch pointed out, you know, we have these tools. They're here. We know what they are. We need to utilize them. And as frustrating and maybe as silly as I am about resenting technology at times, it really is a nice little crutch. To take a breath, to sit back at the stop sign, or when the little click goes off on your wrist, oh yeah, it's time to breathe, and that's okay. I'm getting used to living in the 21st century. Speaking of which, one of the things we learned this past year, the last 18 months almost, about our work life was that we actually could work in jeans. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I knew that would get applause. So, you know, we have had a struggle over the last couple of years. You know, business casual has included jeans now for about 15 years, hasn't it? Steve Jobs started wearing jeans and tennis shoes and T-shirts to introduce his new Apple products. And so it kind of took over the Bay Area and the tech industries, and so we started to see jeans in more and more places. And as a county office of education, we're, you know, one of those conservative school entities. And if you're a student of history like I was back in the days when I was teaching, the institutions that change most slowly over the last 2,000 years, churches and schools. And we still wear robes at graduation. Those robes were indicative of the way they dressed in the Middle Ages in the university. They wore robes every day. We still wear them at graduation. And so we've really been slow to change some of our rules around dress code because we really want people to remember that we respect our jobs by the way we look when we come to work. And so we've expected folks in the offices to wear dressier clothes. COVID came along and it's kind of changed some of those behaviors. And so Eva was reminding me, Steve, it's time for the memo on dress code. And I said, Eva, it's time for the memo to change. So the memo hasn't been drafted yet. It's coming out. But Eva said, Steve, if you're going to do this, you darn well better give some people some guardrails so we don't, go off the rails. So here are the guardrails. I brought some examples because, again, as a teacher, I'd give an assignment and the kids would say, you weren't very clear. Could you give us an example? And so here are some examples. You're all, what the heck is he doing? All right, the first example is no yard work jeans. And so here are my yard work jeans. And you can see from my yard work jeans, they're kind of stained on the leg. They're kind of fraying on the pocket. That wasn't designed that way. That's just me wearing them out. There's maybe some paint on the back side. No yard work jeans for work. That's pretty clear, right? Right. Okay. Next example. You can spend as much money on jeans now as you can on like wool slacks. It's crazy. And so you all know what those are. I don't need to show those. But when you go casual, we also have this rule about no athletic, workout equipment. So no stretchy athletic workout clothes. That's going to be in the memo. So you all know that already too. But this is a tough one, and it may seem a little bit sexist. So I was advised to make sure that I have a good example. So here it is. No torn jeans. No torn jeans. These again. I know you spend a lot of money sometimes, folks, for torn jeans, but no torn jeans, please. So jeans are going to be in the memo. We're going to be able to wear jeans to work. We want you to dress appropriately for your job. That's okay, but you can wear jeans back to any office space as long as they meet the criteria that they're not yard work jeans, they're not torn jeans, and they're not your exercise workout clothes. So, folks, with that welcome announcement, that's the most applause I've ever had from such a small crowd. So, I'm excited about that. Woohoo! We really do want you to have a great year this year. We are the glue in this community. We've heard it from both Ozzy and Mitch. You have the tools. You've been using those tools. We're going to continue to use those tools to help support Nurture, Serve, Lead here in Merced County. And probably more than ever this year, in this past year, Merced County Office of Education has been the glue of this county and the school systems here. I have to tell you, when I go to other meetings of county superintendents, we have had a really, really good year from so many people's perspectives because we stayed together as a county, we've followed the rules, we've supported parents, and people are not walking out in the streets protesting reopening schools. They know it's the right thing to do to come back to school. They know it's the right thing to do to wear masks in the classrooms. And so thank you so much for all of your hard work and being willing to work between those two ends of the spectrum toward the middle so that we can all feel good about coming back to work. Folks, have a great year. Wear your jeans tomorrow. Enjoy life. Thanks so much. To relax.